you guys now?
Live. We are live.
That sounds wrong.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Ishita, and I am pursuing my master's in clinical psychology.
Good afternoon. My name is Samruddhi and I'm pursuing MSc in mental health counseling. So, the topic for our live today is art based therapy. And for speakers, we have these two beautiful women with us, Vrinda and Priyam. So, Vrinda has done her graduation from Kamala Nehru College, Delhi, and she has done a post graduation from Symbiosis, Pune. And Priyam ma'am has done her graduation from Kamala Nehru University as well, and she's done her post graduation from Christ University, Bangalore.
They have together taken their certification on expressive art therapy from SMART, that is Studio, that stands for Studio of Movements, Arts and Therapies in Bangalore. Now they also collectively work with corporate organizations focusing on developing self-esteem, confidence, and teamwork. They have their own private practices as well. They occasionally also participate in theatrical performances. Now they're also starting a new venture where they will collectively come across with different art-based therapists and work on making progress culminatively for various forms of therapy as a various forms of art therapy, which will work as a basis for therapies that they will provide to their clients, not only in Delhi but across India. So welcome for the talk. Uh,
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks.
So Samruddhi, would you like to say as to why we started and why we took this topic for today?
Correct. I would love to. So basically, Ishita and I were introduced to the concept of art-based therapy about a year ago in our final semester of college. We did a certification seminar basically, and I'll be very honest. The only reason we entered it was चलो देखते हैं art based therapy होता क्या है, and मतलब organize करना फेस्ट उससे 1 घंटे का break मिल जाएगा. So that's why we got into it. But then it was honestly very interesting. And after that, we also took part in a 3 month course, basically, where there was an amalgamation of various therapies, out of which the very first therapy, in fact, was art based therapy. And that was our introduction for Ishita and I to this. And it
Yeah,
was very interesting. And
very.
that's when I figured out that, it's far beyond just crayons and notebooks and sketch pens. And uh, I will not lie, I myself had this idea like, how is art going to help in therapy at all? But
Correct.
then I think both our opinions took a 360-degree turn. They completely changed. Art is very, very helpful in therapy. And it basically not only works on your cognition, but it helps integrate your mind and body. Like दोनों को साथ में लाता है. And it's just beautiful. It's amazing. And we realized that we weren't the only ones who basically did not know exactly what art-based therapy does, or how art and different forms of it contribute to therapy. So we decided to take up this topic because not only is it fun, as I said, but it's very helpful. And we would love to give our viewers a sneak peek into what art can do for them as an individual.
That's why we have kept today's talk little experimental and experiential based than just talking. We'll just give an introduction at the start of what art-based therapy is. We have just 4 5 questions, and then we'll get into an activity. So I
Yes.
hope all the viewers have got their basic art material. Do participate with us; it'll be fun. And yeah, you will realize a lot of things. We will be asking your experience later on too, and we will be
Definitely.
taking your questions as well. So if you have any queries, do put across. So let's dive into the topic. And so my first question to you is, what is art-based therapy?
What is it?
What is it?
I'm so like any psychotherapy. What's the goal of any psychotherapy? A person comes and says, "I'd like to perhaps explore why it is that I lose confidence when I'm talking in front of my classmates, or So it could be self-esteem, it could be a relationship challenge, it could be that you're feeling too anxious, and you walk into therapy. But the art-based therapy allows you to use mediums such as drama, movement, visual arts, just playing, to meet the psychotherapeutic goals that your client has.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a good, very simple way to say what it is. It's the deliberate use of any of the arts to propagate growth and to propagate change, if one was to say it simply and in a nutshell.
But do you remember the first time you were playing, as a child, like in your bedroom or in the playground or wherever it is, right? And if you go back to that experience, at least for me, I used to have an imaginary friend. And I would, when I was 10 perhaps, and I would take many flight of imaginations with this particular imaginary friend of mine. Do you remember that time for yourself?
Yeah, I remember that there used to be these tiles in my childhood bedroom, and one tile was a little discolored. So I called it the froggy tile, which meant that if I accidentally stepped on the froggy tile, I'm going to turn into a frog. So there was this whole game around a discolored tile. And I feel like this is true for anybody. It may be true for you and Ishita as well, Samriddhi. It may be true for anybody listening right now, that as children, we had this immense capacity to imagine and to open our minds to playing. And nobody was telling us, now these crayons will become characters and suddenly one will kill the other and a horrible queen will appear and all these things that happen in the childhood bedroom that don't happen as adults. And so I want to ask you, Priyam, when did you stop imagining?
I think there was like almost like a lock put onto it when I entered 10th grade, because this whole thing about boards and studies and doing well, and that's when I stopped myself. And I remember my parents holding the clock and being like, "You've been playing still? Stop it!" And that's when somehow there was a distinction between play is non-serious and work is what you do. And as adults you work. As responsible adults, you work.
As responsible adults, you go to work, you open your laptop, you do the drudgery for a whole day. Maybe not all of us do the drudgery, but you're working, you're serious, you're kind of cut away from that old part of yourself that was able to not be afraid to come up with all manner of things. Ishita and Samriddhi, either of you, tell us, were you imaginative as a child?
I was. I would actually, while you were giving this beautiful explanation, I was reminded of a quote. Unfortunately, I don't remember who said it. But the quote reads that we are all born imaginative. We just have it educated out of us. And what you spoke is actually true, because as children, we are, almost every other thing that we come across has some value to it. That we can create something different out of it. It's not just that object, but we have the capacity to I think imagine and understand 10 similar things, and later it just becomes, yaar suno ye tumhari notebook hai, ye iska kaam sirf tumhare homework ke liye hai.
And all kinds of experiences. Like in English class, I remember not being given marks because I didn't write the explanation that the teacher asked us to write. I wrote my own interpretation of a poem. How dare I do that?
I remember when you said about the play thing, how as adults we have stopped playing and all. I remember when before Mumbai, I used to live in Hyderabad, and the culture there was very different. So every evening we would go out, play with, all the society kids will come down, and we had row houses. Over here, Mumbai, it's flat and we are closed. So that was like a big shift. It also, of course, showed on my, activeness and everything. But as in Hyderabad, I was a very active child. So I remember playing so much, so many games, always waiting for that time to play. But yeah, surely.
I want to build on that and say playing is very universal. And Vrinda and I both work with corporates, and many times like we get this question together, do you think it'll be serious? But actually what gets people to really buy into something is when they are having fun and using their imagination. Right. It becomes such a way to access another part of you, which is, you can call it the creative unconscious. Like, I don't even know what will come out of your mouth in that spontaneous.
Exactly. And you get so many ideas you just don't know. And you're like, oh, okay, this was something that I did not know consciously. So yeah.
I want to build on again what you just said. It was so interesting. You described Mumbai as being flat and closed, and that's also what happens to ourselves. You know, the self becomes flat and closed because we have been, in a way, forced to chop away essential, regenerative, beautiful, healthy, thriving parts of it. And this is pretty much the crux, I would say, of any art-based therapy, that it helps us access what is being called as the primal vitality. You know, you could call it many other names like the collective unconscious. It's a part of us that all of us share, that through the arts, through engagement with any medium that allows you to actively use your body or draw or, you know, use your imagination, we go back to the old parts of the self that were healthy. Now, I think that the sadness is that in our city lives or in our lives where we've been somehow forced to cut away this part of ourselves, we essentially start believing things about ourselves, that we are a particular identity who is not creative, who is not imaginative, who is ill. And I feel like if only we could just go back to what the arts have to offer, we would find that we still have those parts very much alive.
True.
I think something so basic, like now that I'm, when I was younger, in fact, now that I'm growing, I understand the intensity of that statement. But, you know, when I was younger and I used to crib about school and homework and whatever, I always remember my parents, my father and my mother, both of them, you know, always telling me, ki, you know, ye tumhara time hai, fir bhi enjoy kar lo. Bade hoke, it just unfortunately, you know, gets very monotonous, and we would give anything to go back to our childhood where, you know, mud and water and buckets and, you know, all that was the only tension कि आज कौन सा crayon choose कर सकते हैं, आज क्या कर सकते हैं, you know. तो वो tension जब थी, we would give anything to go back to those times. And now I think as each year is progressing, I understand the intensity of that, the importance of being that creative and being in that space.
You know, as you're speaking, another memory is coming to me. And I hope my mother is not listening because this is about my relationship with her as a child. I remember once I came back from school and I had painted a lot of flowers blue. And for some reason, my mother had a bad day and I got huge scolding. कि कोई फूल नीला होता है? For people who don't understand India, any flowers blue. Firstly, there are blue flowers. Secondly, you know, it was that kind of cut in my early childhood that makes that. There's a trepidation to access the arts now. Ki bhai, there's a right way to do it. I don't know how many of you remember Mountain House River. You remember that?
Yes.
And like for me, and I, you know, it's interesting when we started doing the expressive arts course and Brinda and I were together in that course, I had that relationship with drawing and movement myself, and I was like, can I really do this? Like now I am, whatever, 25, and do you really think I can pick up a pen? It's so intimidating. But I think that's where art-based therapy also allows you to discover that arts is not only to become an artist, it's actually so universal. We're all expressive. We tell stories. We do this all the time. And to reclaim that part of you that was actually very, very easygoing when it came to making up stuff and coming up with it.
Right.
Connect to your roots. Connect to your roots.
Yeah. So somebody to say what can art give us in therapy? I feel like they're fundamental to the process of healing, of becoming whole, of sort of tapping into parts that conditioning or culture or society took away from you, and sort of, you know, putting them back together in that sense.
Right. We've spoken about this we've spoken about this a bit, but I would like for our viewers to understand in a little more depth. I think moving on to our next question, Ki, what is the origin of art-based therapy and what was the intent of its birth?
It's almost like asking what is the origin of art. You know, the therapeutic value of the arts is very old. It's since time immemorial. It's since the first time a person may have chapoed their hands on a cave. The therapeutic value of the arts is very old. But if we talk about the origins, then we're looking at the 40s when this was becoming a word, you know, art therapy, the art therapy, not any other arts, just visual art therapy was becoming officially recognized as a way of and as a form of psychotherapy. Am I wrong?
No, not at all. In fact, it's interesting you say that because many, and this is also true for how I was, when after my master's, I started working as a therapist. Because I'd done theatre already, I started introducing some of those theatre exercises in my group therapy sessions. And that became a way for a lot of kids to open up without the direct question of what is happening to you and what you're feeling. You know, that play became such a segue into what was happening in their lives in that sense. And I think that's true for many psychotherapists. When they engage with another human being, they realize that to get creative is one way to make psychotherapy dynamic. So, many therapists started using exercises from drama or dance at an intuitive level.
Yeah.
And that's when, at least in the 70s in the US, many of them started coming together and started calling it names. But intuitively, I think even Jung and Freud, they may not have used words like art therapy, but especially Carl Jung, they were doing this with their clients in dream interpretation.
Right.
They were using symbols to talk about what was happening in the unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I think talking about that, that's something I've commended Ishita on time and again. When she was in her internship, she had to be.
You should have been like,
What did I do?
No, so when she was in her internship, basically, there were a lot of activities and creativity that I think she had to bring about to, be with her client and to help him.
Yeah.
No, that's about it. I was just very proud of it. That's about it.
I included a lot of art because my client was most visual, his visual learning was more strong. So art, creating characters using clay or sand, that was a lot. And learning something from the story that he and I will create together. So that was just like a very intimate activities that we used to carry, and that was fun. So art really eased him out too, and really it made our bond stronger as well.
Absolutely. The way you can relate to a person through an artistic medium is different from how we relate to each other with words. I'm going to give an example of what happened right before we went live. So the four of us have been kind of collaborating over the past week about tech checks and things like that. But right before we went live today, we played a little game which originates from theatre called Soundball. And I feel like if we were to continue playing that game, we would get to know a lot more about each other that words wouldn't have allowed for.
Correct.
Element of unknown, like building on what Vrinda is saying. And many times when I ask my clients what is working for them in therapy, and they say, things come out of my mouth that I haven't said. I make things that I haven't made, So this idea of seeing yourself also differently, not in that fixed way. I am this person and this is my identity, but really unboxing and surprising yourself and surprising therapists. I think that in itself can be very therapeutic.
Right. With this, I have another question in mind. When and in what kind of setting do you apply art-based therapy? Like right now, you just spoke about your client. So if you can give certain examples or certain aspects that you saw in your therapeutic practice, and what, something that you came across was new for you as well.
Say that again. Was
new for you as well.
Was new for me.
Yeah.
New for me as well.
Maybe we can start off by saying that art therapy, drama therapy, movement therapy, we call it so many names, expressive art therapy, can be applied in pretty much any psychotherapeutic construct or setting. You can apply it, like, let's say, in a psychiatry ward. You can go to a hospital and use it. You can use it in an old age home. You can use it in schools. You can use it in prisons.
You can use it in private practice. You can use it in organizations, because we are saying basically playing is universal, right? Creativity is universal. It's not anybody's, one person's sort of label, right? So that is universal. Universally, all of us can, in any setting, come together and design it for the goals that the group has set together, or the individual has set.
Yeah, Priyam and I have worked in juvenile homes together. We worked at schools. Like we told you, we have our own private practice. Right. We also run groups. Modalities work really beautifully in group settings, because it becomes much more about how we relate to each other in a group, in a community. How it's really beautiful how it works individually, and the differences between that and a group are something we could do another live talk on. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely, we would love
So,
to.
Sorry.
I want to talk about in every setting,
in every setting basically,
Right.
but also just it's exciting times because many organizations are calling practitioners to say help us revive the arts. It's not happening everywhere, but there is a need and a curiosity to integrate these practices again, which is
Right.
exciting.
Perhaps we're realizing that we became too left-brained, and that's causing us illnesses.
Right. And in this lockdown, people are actually searching for activities that can actually help them get their creative juices going. It
Yeah.
leaves them inspired and motivated for the day.
So interesting, right? Like when the construct that we work within collapses, for example, capitalism asks us to constantly push towards productivity. Suddenly, boom, there's nothing to do. The way you work changed.
Right.
Now you are stuck alone with yourself. Oh my God, what are you gonna do?
Correct.
Many people have had to relook at their relationship with their self during this time. And difficult as that might have been, I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful window to access the creative juices that flow within all of us.
Right.
And I think talking about that, I mean, a lot of people, I think, try and run away from being alone with themselves, because I think, as you mentioned, it's very underrated. The difficulty of it is very underrated. It's not an easy process to be with yourself, because you never know what you will unleash, because kahin na kahin at the back of your mind you know what you are, but when you have to sit with it, it's like bye nahi, abhi nahi, baad mein dekhenge, abhi I have some work to do. But that's what I think this lockdown has brought about, those things, that now it's just you and yourself. Where will you run?
I think, yeah, that also brings up this, like when I engage with these ideas of creativity or mindfulness or being with yourself or working on yourself, I really wonder where were these in school, like, which is where a lot of these ideas could have opened up our minds and possibilities
True.
for us. Somewhere they were lacking, and now, so there is a need to sort of re-invite those, especially with the
With
lockdown.
trigonometry or algebra tha. Baki kuch nahi.
Exactly. I don't use it also. Anyway.
Nobody does. I mean, okay, not nobody does, but very few people.
Yeah, I mean, math is helpful. It's lovely. That part of me is cut off a little bit from myself, but I feel like so many of us could have benefited from, like Priyam is saying, from just allowing that, not to learn some of the things we learned. And I still feel like in some of our schools, these ideas are not practiced even now. In government schools, where is the access to the arts? These are still questions that really kind of worry me, make me angry.
I think conversely, I think in government schools, children still have an opportunity, to explore a bit. But private schools, unfortunately, because of a set curriculum or whatever it is
Very
pattern,
structured.
you're made to unlearn what you naturally had in yourself as a child. I think, as I said, it's literally educated out of you. तुम्हें एक क्लास के बाद दूसरे क्लास में बैठना है, दूसरे के बाद तीसरे में बैठना है और घर जाना है, फिर होमवर्क करके
And I go back to the idea of being in an art class, Samriddhi, and for that, I mean, I've gotten a F in my art class because the idea of art, which is to explore, which is to imagine, all of that was cut off, and it was about make this perfect drawing now, right? Color in the boxes. So, yeah, and these are some of the ideas that I think get challenged in therapy, where you don't have to be this way to be accepted.
Right.
Yeah, it's a powerful way of, I would say, being witnessed in the larger capacity of the selves you can be. It comes from, I mean, I practice a mixture of modalities, but a lot of my theoretical underpinnings come from drama therapy. And there was a man called Moreno who really kind of worked on the role theory. It said that you're not a fixed role, that there are many, many parts of you. Call it the role repertoire, call it the inner cast, call it anything.
Right.
That there's a possibility of you being so many different things that therapy eventually sets out to integrate.
And we know this because in the lockdown, many people are saying, I am discovering my homemaker, or I am discovering the person who, loves music or whatever. So you are discovering different parts of yourself because there is time to discover. Yeah.
True. Very true. All right. Moving on to Yeah, I'm seriously
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Please go ahead.
Don't worry.
We'll
Oh
probably
no, I
circle
will move on to our next question. So our next question is, what is the difference between art-based therapy and therapeutic art?
we can do so much bal ka khal, no, these things and these words. The therapeutic arts and art-based therapy are different only in one way, I guess. If you, again, in a broad stroke way, which is the goal. What is the goal with which you're using the arts? Therapeutic
Right.
arts would be that I just want to explore. Today I open my paints and I'm painting, and that's the goal. I'm just having fun. But in therapy, we can have many kinds of goals. I want to reclaim a part of myself. I want to work on the residue that is left behind after childhood sexual abuse. I want to look at this diagnosis that I have been labeled with of bipolar. My goal could be any such thing, or even yeah.
Again,
So
again,
is
so-
the approach different? Because as we said that the goal in therapeutic art is different from the goal in art-based therapy. Is the approach different?
Approach different doesn't what comes to my mind, and when it's just therapeutic arts, you are essentially engaging with the art. Oh, sorry, when it's just therapy, you're engaging with the arts with the goal of therapy in mind. So the approach is
Right.
healing, or you're going towards healing, or you're going towards reclaiming something purposefully. Whereas you can just open the arts and say, I like painting, and so I'm going to sit with my paints today. So yeah,
right.
Yeah. And the approach is a bit different in the sense that in therapy, you could go with any therapeutic model, you could follow a construct. But an individual art exploration doesn't have to follow anything. It could just be me turning up and singing in the bathroom.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for. Sort of when I asked about is the approach different, right? Perfect.
Got it.
Yeah, I'm a bathroom singer. You're invited for the show. Only Sam.
Exciting territory.
Okay, let's go to the next question. What are the different techniques that art-based therapy incorporates?
Like what comes to my mind is that any art therapist has a toolbox, right? You have a toolbox of exercises you've learned in your training. You have a toolbox of exercises you design over time once you start working with different groups or organizations or people and things like that. So the technique truly depends on when you are sitting in front of me. Imagine, Ishita, if you're the client and I'm the therapist. It truly depends on what you need in that moment and what my experience and training will allow me, because everything is designed based on what the client needs.
Right.
Right. So the techniques are many. Yeah. And today on the talk, that's why we decided to also sort of get into the experience of it,
Right.
And we've designed something that may be relevant for the lockdown that all of us are facing. And in that sense, we are in it together. And to see
Yeah.
how to process the lockdown through a technique we will run.
Yeah.
Later.
Though there are,
Sorry. Sorry. You go.
okay. I was just curious to know if there are certain names of the techniques that we can be introduced to.
Yeah, I mean, I can call them anything. No, but seriously, there is things like psychodrama. We can do
Free play.
Yeah.
Free play is another, like just playing without an agenda. That's another way to do it. There's
Right.
role play. There is doing art-based explorations. There is moving. There is embodiment. So
there's projection. So you can
storytelling.
yeah.
Using objects. So many
Right.
things.
Right.
And in intermodal practice of this, we often as therapists, I remember PM and I, when we were studying, we were taught in modules, right? We were taught art therapy and then drama therapy and then integral theater and movement therapy. But as practitioners, what tends to happen is that a person comes, they walk through the door, and you then start designing for them, for the challenge that they have come with, for the exploration they want to do. So you
Right.
move through techniques and you
Yeah.
decide, right now I want art, but then I want art to move into drama. This person would greatly benefit from using their body. So we do a lot of movement with them.
Right.
Awesome.
That's actually very interesting. So you basically tweak, so that there's one path, but you tweak it according to what a therapist believes will be best for a client. or what a client needs?
I can speak from the perspective of drama therapy that there are majorly 5 steps. In the beginning, you're playing. After that, you're doing what is called you're role playing. You're after the
Scene
warm
work
up play, you do scene work. Where, for example, if we were doing scene work right now, we would all take one character, a character that we dislike, and we would play that character, all of us, and have a conversation about how we miss traffic jams during coronavirus. Okay, and so that's just scene work. It's not really linked to our real life, but in a way it is, but it's not really. So it's not threatening in any way. After this stage, you start doing a bit of work with the person's real material, the actual things that they want to talk about in their life, but they find hard sometimes through words. So we play real scenes.
I think this is like up to this point, you're just warming up the client really, or warming up your group really to come up with the idea of projection. Because even for me to spontaneously tap into a story needs a little bit of work, because there's a whole layer of education and culture sort of stopping me from accessing that. So there's a lot of warm up that happens in that when you sort of then approach the warm up.
I have a doubt. Why only take a character which you dislike and not a character which you like?
It could be a character you love, your favorite character from a fairy tale that you heard.
It truly depends on what goals are you working with, you know. So
Okay.
if empathy is a goal, then to pick a character that you don't like, paves the way to step into shoes of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's fully different.
So we reach the point where we move from the play to the scene work to role play, which is material from my life, active material that could be very hot to talk about, and then hot as in painful. So we do it through scenes. The interesting thing is you can play with time in the arts. You can fast forward, you can rewind, you can freeze, you can DJ images, and then the idea is that we spend a lot of time here in the role play. You can use psychodrama in this moment. After that, you wind up, you perform what is known as the dramatic ritual, which could be, for example, I want to shed away a part of myself. I don't want this part to speak so loudly anymore because I'm tired of it. For example, the part of me that says, जब तक काम नहीं करोगे तुम valid नहीं हो. You're not okay until you keep being productive. Now I've reached the part of therapy where I'm okay to close this voice. I'm okay because I found counter voices and counter roles. So through a dramatic ritual like creating a puppet and submerging it in water. Example, we can do it in many ways.
Right.
Depends on the creativity in that moment of the client, and with a little prodding sometimes of a therapist. They do a dramatic ritual, and one would say that is the closure of the 5 steps in drama therapy. Now, this could move within one session. It could happen. It could also happen over a couple of months.
Right. It's also integrating, like as I listen to you, it's also integrating all your senses, like you drowning a puppet, including your visuals, your touch, your feeling, everything.
Absolutely.
So,
the
right.
overall value of something like that, right? When I've done it in the therapeutic space, the fact that I will remember now that I've actually submerged that part, it's not part of me anymore. Once I go back to my life, it's so much higher than me talking about it. So in that sense, therapy is, say, traditional therapy is talk, right? Then art therapy is just building on that and bringing, like you said, more senses involved, so that the person, when they walk out, have a higher memory, have a higher recall of that experience.
Yeah.
Correct.
The body remembers is a key principle of movement work, a key principle of movement in drama therapy, that all our memories are stored within our body. So when we receive some kind of catharsis, even that is stored in the body, and therefore a much more powerful, quicker way to heal.
Correct. I think definitely building on that, when we spoke about, now that we're speaking about, art in a therapy setting, where there's a client and a therapist, right? What I want to understand for myself, and of course for our audiences also, so to what extent does art-based therapy help with mild to moderate cases such as say anxiety, if a client has come to you with an issue of anxiety, versus severe cases, say ADHD, which stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder, or autism, for that matter. So to what extent does art-based therapy, contribute or help in either of these scenarios?
See, it's completely client-centered, right? Therapy itself is very client-centered. So
Right.
if it's ADHD and that's the goal is to, let's say, build attention, for instance, there are many, again, techniques that you can pull out to address that address that label of ADHD for the client and things like that. So I'm going to go back to this. If the client is giving you the goal, you take the goal and you work with that. I know Vinda works a lot with sexual abuse, for instance. It works there. I have myself worked with PTSD, schizophrenia, using art-based therapy. And it's been like, and I'm going to just repeat what my client said to me. She said, before this, I used to go to a psychologist to be seen as a label, but you actually help me understand that all the images I have and all the things I see, that can also have meaning for me. And there's another way to relate to this instead of just saying, oh, now I'm hallucinating and, means I can't get out of bed or I need to be scared. There are other ways to relate to things I'm seeing. So it changes the story in that sense.
So it makes them feel validated. I mean, like what your client said, it makes them feel that that their experience is not something that's a lie. It's true for them in a very deeper sense.
Yeah, and it's relating with the whole person, right? Like beyond that label of you have schizophrenia and now we need to look at this and that's the only thing that we have between us. It's like really giving voices to other parts of them that they may not express. Yeah.
Right.
The essential idea is that this is a way, a very, very powerful way of engaging with our whole self and also engaging with our context. So it's not just about the disease. It's about me and it's about the world that I inhabit.
Right.
We've spoken so much about it. I'm wondering if we should dive into like sort of...
Yeah, so yes. I was just going to say that. Let's dive into the activity.
So for our viewers, I think this is the part where we request you. We had asked you to basically, keep handy certain basic art materials. Yes, I also have my sketchbook with me, and any blue colored, black colored pen, sketch pen, oil pastel, anything that you may have. Now's the time to get it out because we are going to have some fun.
Great.
Okay. You're asking us what can we do in the lockdown and how can art therapy be used for this period. So this will give you one technique from our end of what you can do, and we build on that further.
Yeah, it's pretty much very much the tip of the iceberg. We're barely touching it. But before we jump into the exercise, Priyam and I were talking about what it might do for people. And what we're hoping for is that amidst all the responses, amidst the possible anxiety or the numbness or the fatigue or the confusion or the restlessness or whatever it is that you're feeling in this moment, this exercise is intended for you to become present to the here and now. What is happening with me right now in this moment? You're not going to think about it. You're going to get a chance to just let it come from what we had initially called the creative unconscious. So don't judge this. It's not an art exercise for you to excel at. It doesn't matter the quality of the art. It's just meant for you to be able to express freely what's coming up. And we're going to give you a little bit of help and create a structure for you to be able to do that. So if you're ready, then what you're going to do is you're going to create sheets of paper like this. You're going to just tear one piece of paper into two and create 7 such sheets for yourself, please.
7
such sheets. They could be larger, they could be a bit smaller. That's fine. No penalty.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all you're doing right now. We'll give you 30 seconds. So just go ahead like some of these. Just tear them up. No need to get.
I just went.
Yeah, that's a good way to do.
Also, 30 seconds is like a race against time.
You do roughly and quickly and effectively. If we give it time,
I'm done.
You're done. Okay. We're hoping all the rest of you catch up.
10 more seconds.
Okay.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
How many? That's why I always say I am the better friend.
Yeah. Let's not go into that right now.
The
Yes.
here and now and the tension between them.
And if you can just take a blank sheet for now, okay?
Yeah.
And take any pen or sketch pen, whatever you have, and the idea is to just make whatever scribbles, whatever you want to make. The idea is to warm up the hand, okay?
So
And
just start
Okay.
covering the page with the ink. Don't think about it. We're going to stop talking. Start covering the page with the ink. So chuck.
you can hear Vrinda's pen moving. Just keep moving your pen without thinking. The idea is for the ink to flow, so you do not think about it. And we're not even looking at how pretty it is or how ugly it is. The idea is just you should feel a little tired as you're doing this because you're.
Can it be just scribble? I'm not even raising my
Yeah.
pen.
It's just see mine. I'm just scribbling all over this page. Keep scribbling. We are removing the judgment from the hand. We're not allowing it to say this is good or bad. We're just letting it move. So keep moving it. Moving along.
I know when you're picture.
Okay, and last 10 seconds. Let the arm get tired. Don't stop, Samriti. Keep
Okay.
Okay. And pause. Let it be. You feel the tingling in your hand? Let
Actually, I do.
Good.
Thoda
Because
sa.
use that tingling to create the next thing. The first piece of paper, you're going to draw this. I'm sorry. That was the next turn. My bad. This.
No, but it's not visible.
Okay,
The
come in closer.
This is the protagonist.
Yeah.
So basically,
The protagonist.
In your first sheet of paper, you are going to draw a protagonist. It could be a mouse, it could be a mouse with wings, it could be a human who looks like a rat, it could be nothing to do with humans or rats, it could be anything. So without thinking about it, draw a protagonist in the first sheet of the 7 pages that you've made for yourself.
this is like the central character of your story. The person who is living the story out.
I was just gonna say I'm bad at drawing, and then I remembered no judgment.
That's great to observe that judgment coming up. And I'm sure a lot of viewers might be getting the same voices. So learn from Ishita and catch that voice.
Okay, done. Maybe.
That's fine. If you think it's done, it's probably done.
Samriti done?
Yep.
And I'm just 10 more seconds for everyone to finish. For the people we can't see, maybe you can comments, we can switch them on so if people want to ask us.
Yeah.
No.
Even questions
I
that
think
you have.
that's not a good idea for comments because we just want you to draw right now.
Okay, cool.
You will get
So
a
then-
chance to comment soon.
Next prompt, the situation.
Don't think about it. What situation is this character in right now? Are they in a room, locked?
It could be just shapes, it could be images, it could sometimes just also be words. The idea is to express what situation does this protagonist find themselves in.
Okay.
We're also doing our own meeting.
Okay, and you get 10 more seconds to draw out the situation. Doesn't need to be the most groundbreaking piece of art in the world. It just is what comes up right now.
I'm telling you, a second grader will do a better job than what I'm doing.
Judgment. Sam's judgment. Hold
No, I'm
on.
laughing. No judgment.
I'll throw it. Don't hold
Probably
on.
do a better job because the second grader still is very much in touch with their primal creativity.
Okay, ready for the next one.
Yes.
Get the next sheet of paper out, and you're going to just develop, on the situation, which has now become a challenge. So, what is the challenge that the protagonist suddenly meets in this situation? Don't think about it. Start drawing / writing / ripping up the paper if you need to. Whatever comes from you in this moment is the story.
Done.
Done.
Okay. Now the next one, huh? So suddenly in this challenge, you get a gift. The gift could come from within you, outside you, but it's a magical gift. Please draw out what this gift is.
Okay.
Anything is possible in this moment. Let it emerge from your very creative unconscious. Without any pressure to be creative, of course. It's fine if it's not creative right now. And the gift is like a pen. That's fine.
One way to keep in touch with your spontaneity is to just focus on your breath and keep going. Just become conscious of how you're breathing and keep working on that paper.
Done.
Okay. I'm hoping the audience is as quick as the both of you.
I think let's give 10 more seconds for the audience, I think.
Let's.
And guys, we really hope you're doing the activity with us
मैं वही
because
बोलने वाली थी.
है ना? Because हम कोई किसी को जज नहीं कर रहा है. I just hope that this is for us. So please do it. Please participate.
And if you like, you can also send us photos later, or
Yes.
maybe post it on the comments right now as well.
That
As
would
you
be
like.
lovely.
After the activity.
And they can be
Anyone.
anonymous. They don't have to have your names.
Yeah.
Okay. We're hoping
Yeah.
this has been enough time. We're now on the
Yes.
second last piece of paper, which is a very good time for this story to move into its most heated moment. So the challenge is set, the unexpected gift has come, and now what happens? Now this is the moment of climax. Something big has happened. This is the pinnacle of action in a story, the most exciting part. What would that be? There's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm going to repeat myself.
Yeah?
I'm done.
Cool. She's amused by her story.
I am actually.
Don't tell us yet. We'll ask you soon.
No. Yeah.
I'm so excited right now. Okay.
Okay, now for the last sheet of paper, really, this is where you look at what is the resolution. You know, if there was a situation and a challenge and the protagonist went through all those steps, what is the last scene, the resolution really looking like?
Do they find love? Do they die? Do they turn into an alien? Does the situation disappear? Do they become lonely forever? What happens in the end? Are they turned into a frog?
Forever. I think forever alone is not very bad, but all right.
It doesn't have to be a happy story. It could be any kind.
I wish we were doing this together. I could have done this.
Okay. Done.
No, wait. I need 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes.
I mean,
Yes.
sorry.
We are not judging. We are not judging. Sam, you're beautifying it, aren't you? Aren't you?
No,
Aren't
no,
you?
no, no. And you asked me 10 more times, I'm going to change my answer. I'm not beautiful yet. Okay, done.
Great. Whew. And just take a moment. You've allowed your spontaneity to speak. Keep your images in front of you.
I really wish we were doing this kind of in person, So much we can go together. Yeah. Anyway.
So we're keeping the images in front of us and just take a moment to see what has emerged. This is maybe even physically move away a little bit and look at it with new curiosity. Like, that came out of me. I wonder what that's about. And maybe Ishita and Sam can share with us what was your experience of doing this? How are you relating to the images right now?
I'll share first.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, your image had paused for a minute.
Yeah. I okay. So this is my kind of bird at home, and it doesn't like being at home. So it goes outside. Abhi, there is boat. I don't know why. Maybe I'm missing sea and food also. वो लड्डू है. I want motichur laddu. And trees, nature, basically nature. The challenge that it comes across is there's suddenly a car, okay, on the road, and then suddenly it realizes to save itself. It realizes it can fly. It did not know that it can fly, and that's a new discovery. And when it goes ahead, what it realizes is different view that it can see, and also one partner, matlab someone similar to them. And the resolution, the end was resolution. Right? Yeah, so that he found his kind too, he or she, whatever. They found their kind too. They were not all by themselves. So yeah.
Nice.
Ishita, what were you feeling when you were doing this? Or now that you're kind of, showing your art, what are you feeling?
Right. I don't know, maybe because the lockdown is in and I just want to go out, and also discover, because of this lockdown, I also discovered a lot of things. Not just lockdown, the past year has been a lot of self-discovery. And also knowing that sometimes you will be alone, but you will find your people on the way. You just need to, see and seek higher energy for yourself. So yeah.
That's a very powerful here and now story. We are very curious to see what Samriddhi has come up with.
Yes. Also, before I show mine, I would definitely want to tell our audience that this activity, even Ishita and I were unaware of.
Yeah.
They came up with this right now. No, the reason I'm mentioning this is because I think there is some resemblance between what we've sketched. So,
Oh.
There's no coincidence behind that.
Yeah, there's no reversing. All right, so the protagonist of my story is a butterfly. It's an orange butterfly. Okay.
Yeah.
And the second was where we spoke about what was the second?
The situation.
Right. So the butterfly is kind of lost. It's just like grass, and there are palm trees, and there's a sun, and that's the situation that the bird is in. The third one was the challenge. The challenge is in that field of in that field of grass and trees where the butterfly finds itself, is a very beautiful looking lion, which is scary. It's big, and that is the challenge that the butterfly realizes that it's facing. Talking about the second last stage, what it realizes is it. So the idea, I think I'll talk about the idea behind this as I show my images. So the butterfly realizes that, this is a situation which is making him afraid, which is fearful for it. And that, with a little effort and a little work, the butterfly can dwell into itself, and there's a potential that they can find. So from an orange butterfly, it's now a bigger, larger butterfly, and the various colors here I used to, symbolize various inner strengths, various realizations within. And the outcome that happened was, this is everything, every ounce of confidence, esteem, everything that the butterfly is emitting, basically, which eventually
Yes.
showed the lion that it's not the only big creature. The light within the butterfly is larger than the depth of the lion. And the resolution is because it finds itself, uh, and the butterfly realizes who it truly is. It finds itself in a situation where there are more butterflies in a very, nice, there's the sun and there are
Something
clouds.
about like seeking community and seeking
Yes,
identifying
yes,
sense seems to
right.
be really speaking through your drawing.
And I'm very curious to know how many of our audience members have drawn creatures that can fly, because I feel like this is a particular time in the world where a lot of these unconscious images share similar vibrations and frequencies. We're all dreaming fairly similar themes, but drawing these colors, these shapes, these themes. I will not be shocked if there are synchronies in all our artwork today.
Right.
Right. The last one was so similar.
Vinda said tip of the iceberg, but this can be a warm-up exercise. We didn't really say it has to be you. We were drawing creatures,
Yeah.
and it can go to many places as an exercise.
True.
Right.
Yeah. For
Amazing.
example, we could ask you, so which part of you is the lion and which part of you is the butterfly? Or we could say, what is the pink that was added to the orange? What part of you is that? We could take this to movement, for example, Ishita. We could say, okay, what would the bird who doesn't know how to fly, how would that be in your body? How would the flying bird feel in your body? So we could take art to movement. Similarly, we can take movement to art, and it's all quite fluid.
Right.
Right.
It's
Amazing. It was very refreshing.
I'm hoping that people have had a chance to look at their stories. We would love to see some of your images. They
Yeah,
don't have
if,
to do things.
if they can share, it would be great. I don't know if they can.
Yeah, even I don't know if they can really upload something on Facebook. However, what we would like to say is, even if you can't do it right now, we are obviously going to be in touch with Vrinda and Priyam. You can always send us your artwork on Facebook or on our page, and we can have a look at it. And
Yeah.
that's how we can, if you wish to share, of course.
And also on Insta, we are there, mind and matter _20. So yeah, there too. But yes, thank you so much. It was such a great session. The experience was amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We want to share a last bit of sort of end it with the idea of engaging with the arts. If you are in a place where you're feeling alone, if you're in a place where you're feeling stuck, some things that I like to do is give myself, this is taken from Julia Cameron's work.
Yeah.
And Priyam, why don't you tell us, because you were excited about Julia Cameron.
I've been running actually, like we've been in a group together over WhatsApp, where we do something called the morning pages, which is when you wake up, the first thing you do is take paper, take pen, and just write 3 pages out. And this is not to say I have to write a story or anything, but just whatever comes to your mind is a way to engage with your subconscious, again.
Yeah.
So morning pages is definitely one thing you can do. You can look up this book,
Right.
The Artist Way. The other thing it talks about is the artist date, So like in a week, take out about a couple of hours to just explore through your senses, Vrinda, you were telling me some artist dates you've done for yourself. No?
Yeah, it's like taking your inner artist for a date. So you could sit down and say, today I'm going to draw my monsters. I'm just going to draw the different monsters that I, for example, I suddenly start screaming at my partner in the middle of nothing. Poor thing, he's only just washing vegetables in the kitchen and stepped on my toe, and one giant angry creature comes out of me. So I would say, if similar things are happening to you, draw that monster out. You could close your eyes, you could put music, and you could clear some space, and you could say, today I'm going to dance for 10 minutes, but with my eyes closed. You could try other things, Priyam.
This one exercise, bizarre as it is, but like I don't usually smell very well. So for 2 hours, I was smelling like fruits and vegetables, and things that I usually not smell. And so it's just really indulging your senses. and coming up with various things that may excite you and you haven't had the time to do.
Right.
And I think for people who might be a little skeptical, I would definitely encourage and say, just try it once. It is genuinely so engaging, and you unconsciously just project onto your paper or onto your skill or into your drama or your dance or whatever it is, who you are, what you are, and there's just so much that comes out of it. It's beautiful. It really is very beautiful.
The morning pages that you said, I have been doing it since past 2 weeks. I get up and write. If not immediately, I will at least one time in the day I will sit and I'll write, just free flowing. So it really helps. Like it really makes me feel light, if nothing at all. But yeah, that was one of the writing practices that I was doing for my write ups. But it really helps to just ease out.
Yeah, I've been working with some clients who do a lot of dream work. So they come with their dreams and then we, interpret them together. And that itself so quickly sort of lifts the fog of anxiety or fog of sadness. And, it makes you move, right? These are all exercises, movement really.
Right. I hate dreaming. I don't like dreams at all.
Well, you're already doing your morning pages. And
Yeah.
मुझे इन्वेस्टमेंट सांप आते हैं पता नहीं क्यों मेरे सपनों में, तो इवन आई एम वेरी अफ्रेड ऑफ ड्रीमिंग.
हम इसको ऑफलाइन ले जाते हैं.
नहीं ले जाना.
I'm hoping that everybody watching finds a way to test this out, to let your inner creativity find the channel to let creative unconscious speak. That's my hope for all of us, because it's genuinely all of us together.
Right, and I think as Vrinda and Priyam have stressed enough, there is no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
It's just, it has to be very instantaneous. You just let it flow. Mountain down होना चाहिए जरूरी नहीं है. मेरा apparently सूर्य भी green color का था, so there's no right or wrong way. You just have to let it.
Yeah, and I think that voice of judgment comes for all of us, ever so often. But, Ishita, you did this in the session. You observed it. You said, oh, my inner judgment is coming. And, let me take that away. I think, we're all humans. This whole thing of I am not good enough is something that we all, in small or in big capacities, hear in ourselves.
Correct.
But these exercises make it move and make the monster smaller. Yeah.
And I think building on the here and now that you guys wanted to stress on, I think, ever so often we get so busy about so many thoughts about the future, the past, the uncertain, the anxiety. I think that we forget to try and experience where we are right now. And I think that's why, bringing about this art is so essential, because दिमाग से यहाँ वहाँ दौड़ता रहता है, उसको पकड़ के वापस लाना जरूरी हो जाता है कभी-कभी.
Right.
Thank you for chatting about this
session.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, it was fun.
We had a great time, and I hope that our audience did too.
Yeah.
Good night. Good evening ahead, everybody.
Yes.
Good evening, good morning, good everything.
All right. See you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.